Hello viewers, welcome to my orchid world. Today, as requested by one of my viewers, I will be talking about Dendrobium seedlings because many of us start our orchid journey through Dendrobium orchids, which are the most easiest to grow and to care for, and it is not that easy to kill a Dendrobium orchid that easily. So since our most preferred orchids among the orchids is the Dendrobium orchids, I will talk about them. I have already talked about their general care in one of my previous videos. Kindly look into that. You will come to know how easy it is to care for Dendrobium orchids. Today I will be specifically talking about Dendrobium seedlings. It had been requested by one of my viewers long back. I'm sorry I was not able to make the video, so today here I am. I will be talking about everything about general care of Dendrobium seedlings, how much time they take to grow and mature and to bloom. So we'll be talking everything about Dendrobium seedlings. So let us start. First we'll talk about the general care of Dendrobium seedlings. Many of us buy Dendrobium seedlings or say any other seedling of any other orchid variety just because they are cheaper than the matured ones, and we are able to take care of these seedlings till they become mature and bloom. So let us suppose we have bought Dendrobium seedlings. So now how to care for it? First of all, keep them in a very bright location so that they get ample amount of shaded sunlight. Do not keep them in direct sunlight because seedlings, as you know, are very young. They are still in their growing stages and they cannot tolerate the direct sun, even the morning sun. It is better to shield them all the time from morning to evening so that there is no harm, harm is caused to the seedlings and they grow well. Watering the Dendrobium seedlings should be done in a way that they do not get enough, more than sufficient water, and also they should not be deprived of water. They should be given medium amount of water because they are still in their growing stage. They cannot take up high amount of water. So medium quantity of water is okay for Dendrobium seedlings. As you can see, the seedlings might grow from one of the previous canes. As you can see in the screen, this is the one. It is growing from one of the older canes. So it is already taking nutrition from the mother plant. So you do not have to water it too much. Seedlings can also grow from the base of the orchid. As you can see, this one seedling is growing from the base of the orchid. This orchid was already a seedling and it is still growing. It is still not matured. In my previous video on Dendrobium orchids, I have talked about the maturity time for Dendrobium seedlings. Usually we need 3 or 4 canes like this for the Dendrobium to become mature and to bloom. So till then, till it grows, it may not be like that we have 4 canes and it is not a hard and fast rule, because even if the canes are numbered 3 or 4, you can see the canes are very tiny. It has not grown full length. This one cane has grown last year, but still it has not bloomed. It has decided to grow one more kiki. So it is not a hard and fast rule that once you get 4 canes or 3 canes, the Dendrobium has matured. Usually Dendrobium canes are not this tiny, height will be maybe double than this. You can see the other one, it has grown taller. So we need to have patience for orchids in general, for their blooms and for them to become mature. We can grow canes into kikis like this. You have seen it in my previous video. I just put them in a moist medium, in a humid medium with some sphagnum moss at the bottom of an open container, and see the kikis have grown. There are 2 kikis from the older canes. This way they can grow. So once this become mature, you can just plant them in another pot once they grow taller and bigger with a nice root system. Here the root system has still not developed properly. It will develop more. So once they become a bit of taller than this, say 6 to 7 centimeter or taller than this, you can plant them in separate pots. While the canes are still growing, while the seedlings are still growing, you do not need to apply any fertilizer, because they are already getting the nutrition from the cane, from the mother plant in case of basal kikis. So you do not need to fertilize them. They will take up all the nutrients whichever they need for growing into a mature Dendrobium orchid from the mother plant, from the cane. And we should refrain from using fertilizer strictly on this Dendrobium seedlings. Otherwise, there are chances that the Dendrobium seedlings might die off. The number of canes in Dendrobium seedlings generally do not specify that it has become matured and is ready to bloom. The Dendrobium dairy, in this screen image you can see there are lots of canes. The Dendrobium dairy is usually a small sized dendrobium, and it has many number of canes, more than 4, which should be typically indicative of the fact that the Dendrobium dairy is mature to bloom now. But right now you can see there are other Dendrobium orchids which have more than number of 4 canes, but yet they have not bloomed. I had bought these Dendrobiums as seedlings, and still they have not produced any blooms, and hence the number of canes, that is number of canes should be 4 or 3, is not a strict rule to show that the Dendrobium has matured. Once the Dendrobium has matured, you can see certain changes in the canes. For example, the height of the cane, the length of the cane should be more than double of this. That is the Dendrobium sonia, which is quite an old Dendrobium in my collection. Most probably the initial Dendrobiums or the initial orchids that I had bought. It is quite mature now. It has bloomed many number of cycles. You can see the length of the cane of this particular orchid. It is quite long as compared to the previous ones that you saw. It is quite long, maybe triple of the previous ones. So these are indicative that the Dendrobium has matured. It will grow long canes, and in case of small Dendrobiums, it will be as triple or double of the previous smaller canes that you saw in case of Dendrobium dairy. So the length of the cane is one distinct characteristic that you will see in mature Dendrobiums. It will be very long, and once the Dendrobium is matured, it will bloom from the crown of the matured cane. When the Dendrobium cane matures, the crown will produce a spike, a flower spike from the middle of the crown, and it will eventually bloom into buds and then open up as blooms. So that is one indication that the cane has matured, the Dendrobium has matured, and it has grown to a full matured plant from a seedling. In case of canes that do not produce a crown, they are also an indication that the Dendrobium orchid has matured. Although they may not produce a flower spike, they may produce a small nub which will not grow, and in that case it is also an indication that the cane has matured, and the next cane that will grow from the base of the orchid will eventually bloom. So it is not anything that we should be worrying about, but just we have to need patience for the next cane to grow. Once a Dendrobium orchid matures, the subsequent canes that form at the base of the Dendrobium orchid just takes almost 1 year to get matured, and after the next cycle of growth, the cane will bloom. So once a seedling becomes a grown full matured plant, the subsequent canes mature within 1 year, and hence we get blooms year after year. Sometimes there are hybrid dendrobiums which bloom twice a year. I have the Dendrobium sonia, which you just saw, blooms twice a year, once in May and then once in September. So this cycle of September has started. The spike will bloom eventually. So that was all about Dendrobium seedlings. The main thing that we need to have with Dendrobium seedlings, or for that matter any seedling, any orchid seedling, is patience. We need to have patience and should not be in a hurry to see blooms in our orchids. Hope you have got some information about Dendrobium seedlings. Hope you will enjoy it. Please let me know if you have any questions in the comment section. Please keep watching my videos. I will be bringing about more videos in future, and thank you for watching. Please do subscribe and give it a like.